Ernest Brooks Wilkins Jr., July 20, 1922 – June 5, 1999, was a jazz arranger and writer who also played tenor saxophone. He might be best known for his work with Count Basie. He also wrote for Tommy Dorsey, Harry James, and Dizzy Gillespie. In addition to that, he was musical director for albums by Cannonball Adderley, Dinah Washington, Oscar Peterson, and Buddy Rich. Early career. Wilkins was born in St. Louis, Missouri. In his early career he played in a military band, before joining Earl Hines's last big band. In 1951 he began working with Basie. After 1955 he went freelance as a jazz arranger and writer of songs, as he was much in demand at that time. His success declined in the 1960s, but revived after work with Clark Terry. This led to his touring Europe. Final years in Denmark. Eventually Wilkins settled in Copenhagen, Denmark, where he would live for the rest of his life. There he formed the Almost Big Band so he could write for a band of his own formation. The idea was partly inspired by his wife Jenny. Copenhagen had a thriving jazz scene with several promising jazz musicians, as well as a well-established community of expatriate American jazz musicians which had formed in the 1950s and now included representatives like Kenny Drew and Ed Thigpen, who joined the band along with Danish saxophonist Jesper Thilo. The band released 4 albums, but after 1991 he became too ill to do much with it. He died in Copenhagen. Wilkins was responsible for orchestral arrangements on 1972's self-titled album by Alice Clark on Mainstream Records, a highly sought-after collectible today. Ernie Wilkins died on June 5, 1999 of a stroke. Wilkins has a street named after him in southern Copenhagen. Ernie Wilkins V.E.J. Eng. Ernie Wilkins Street. Discography. Flutes and Reeds. Savoy. 1955. With Frank Wess. Top Brass. Savoy. 1955. The Drum Suite. RCA Victor. 1956. With Manny Album. Pori Big Band and Ernie Wilkins. Finlandia. 1977. Montreux. Steeplechase. 1985. On the Roll. Steeplechase. 1987. As sideman, arranger, with Count Basie. The Count. Clef. 1952. 1955. Basie Jazz. Clef. 1952. 1954. Dance Session. Clef. 1953. Dance Session Album No. 2. Clef. 1954. Basie. Clef. 1954. With Louis Bellson. Let's Call It Swing. Verve. 1957. Drummer's Holiday. Verve. 1958. With Maynard Ferguson. Maynard. 63. Roulette. 1962. With Dizzy Gillespie. Jazz Recital. Norgren. 1955. World Statesman. Norgren. 1956. Dizzy in Greece. Verve. 1957. With Joe Newman. All I Wanna Do Is Swing. RCA Victor. 1955. Soft Swingin' Jazz. Choral. 1958. As arranger. With Ernestine Anderson. My Kinda Swing. Mercury. 1960. With Count Basie. Count Basie Swings. Joe Williams Sings. Clef. 1955. With Joe Williams. April in Paris. Verve. 1956. Metronome All Stars. 1956. Clef. 1956. With Ella Fitzgerald and Joe Williams. 1 O'Clock Jump. Verve. 1957. With Joe Williams and Ella Fitzgerald. Me and You. Pablo. 1983. With Ray Brown. Ray Brown with the All-Star Big Band. Verve. 1962. With Jimmy Cleveland. Cleveland Style. MRC. 1958. A Map of Jimmy Cleveland. Mercury. 1959. With Alcone. The Natural 7. RCA Victor. 1955. That Old Feeling. RCA Victor. 1955. With Eddie Lockjaw Davis. Train Whistle. Prestige. 1960. With Maynard Ferguson. Maynard. 62. Roulette. 1962. With Dizzy Gillespie. Burke's Works. Verve. 1957. With Freddie Green. Mr. Rhythm. RCA Victor. 1955. With Milt Jackson. Big Bags. Riverside. 1962. With Harry James. Wild About Harry. Capital T 874, ST 874. 1957. The New James. Capital T 1037, St 1037. 1958. Harry's Choice. Capital T 1093, St 1093. 1958. Harry James and His New Swingin' Band. MGME 3778, Shea 3778. 1959. Harry James. Today. MGME 3848, Shea 3848. 1960. The Spectacular Sound of Harry James. MGME 3897, Shea 3897. 1961. The Solid Gold Trumpet of Harry James. MGME 4058, Shea 4058. 1962. Harry James' 25th Anniversary Album. MGME 4214, Shea 4214. 1964. The King James Version. Sheffield Lab Lab 3. 1976. Common, from Maygood Place. Sheffield Lab Lab 6. 1977. With Quincy Jones. The Great Wide World of Quincy Jones. Mercury. 1959. With Sam Jones. Down Home. Riverside. 1962. With Charles McPherson. Siku Ya BB. Day of the Lady. Mainstream. 1972. Today's Man. Mainstream. 1973. With Joe Newman. The Count's Men. Jazz Tin. 1955. Salute to Satch. RCA Victor. 1956. I Feel Like a Newman. Storyville. 1956. The Midgets. Vic. 1956. The Happy Cats. Coral. 1957. Joe Newman with Woodwinds. Roulette. 1958. With Herb Pomeroy. The Band and I. United Artists. 1958. With Irene Kral. With Sarah Vaughan and the Count Basie Orchestra. Count Basie, Sarah Vaughan. Roulette. 1960. With Charles Williams. Stickball. Mainstream. 1972. Awards. 1981 Ben Webster Prize.